This is the Berman Project. Self-Portrait at 28. I know it's a bad title, but I'm giving it to myself as a gift on a day nearly cancelled by sunlight when the entire hill is approaching the ideal of Virginia. Brochured with goldenrod and loblolly, and I think, at least I have not woken up with a bloody knife in my hand. By then, having absently wandered 100 yards from the house while still seated in this chair with my eyes closed. It is a certain hill, the one I imagine when I hear the word hill, and if the apocalypse turns out to be a worldwide nervous breakdown, if our 5 billion minds collapse at once, well, I'd call that a surprise ending, and this hill would still be beautiful, a place I wouldn't mind dying alone or with you. I'm trying to get at something, and I want to talk very plainly to you so that we are both comforted by the honesty. You see, there is a window by my desk I stare out when I'm stuck. Though the outdoors has rarely inspired me to write, and I don't know why, I keep staring at it. My childhood hasn't made good material either, mostly being a mulch of white minutes. With a few standout moments, popping tar bubbles on the driveway in the summer, a certain amount of pride at school every time they called it our son, and playing football when the only play was go out long, are what stand out now. If squeezed for more information, I can remember old clock radios with flipping metal numbers and an entree called Surf and Turf. As a way of getting in touch with my origins, every night I set the alarm clock for the time I was born so that waking up becomes a historical reenactment. And the first thing I do is take a reading of the day and try to flow with it, like when you're riding a mechanical bull and you strain to learn the pattern quickly, so you don't inadvertently resist it. I can't remember being born, and no one else can remember it either, even the doctor who I met years later at a cocktail party. It's one of the little disappointments that makes you think about getting away, going to Holly Springs or Coral Gables, and taking a room on the square with a landlady whose hands are scored by disinfectant, telling the people you meet that you are from Alaska and listen to what they have to say about Alaska until you have learned much more about Alaska than you will ever will about Holly Springs or Coral Gables. Sometimes I'm buying a newspaper in a strange city and I think, I'm about to learn what it's like to live here. Oftentimes there's a news item about the complaints of homeowners who live beside the airport, and I realize that I read an article on this subject nearly once a year and always receive the same image. I'm in bed late at night in my house near the airport listening to the jets fly overhead. A strange wife is sleeping beside me. In my mind, the bedroom is an amalgamation of various cold medicine commercial sets. There's always a box of tissue on the nightstand. I know these reoccurring news articles are clues, flaws in the design, though I haven't figured it out how to string them together yet. But I'm noticing that the same people are dying over and over again. For instance, Minnie Pearl, who died this year for the 4th time in 4 years. Today is the first day of Lent, and once again, I'm not really sure what it is. How many more years will I let it pass before I take the trouble to ask someone? It reminds me of this morning when you were getting ready for work. I was sitting by the space heater, numbly watching you dress, and when you asked why I never wear a robe, I had so many good reasons. I didn't know where to begin. If you were cool in high school, you didn't ask too many questions. You could tell who's been to last night's big metal concert by the new t-shirts in the hallways. You didn't have to ask, and that's what cool was, the ability to deduce, to know without asking, and the pressure to simulate coolness means not asking when you don't know, which is why kids grow up ever more stupid. A yearbook's end pages filled with promises to stay in touch stand as proof of the uselessness of a teenager's promise. Not like I'm dying for a letter from a class stoner 10 years on, but do you remember the way the girls would call out, "love you," conveniently leaving out the I, as if they didn't want to commit to their own declaration? I agree that the eye is a pretty heavy concept, and hope you won't get uncomfortable if I should go into some deeper stuff here. There are things I've given up on, like recording funny answering machine messages. It's part of growing older, and the human race as a group has matured along the same lines. It seems our comedy dates the quickest. If you laugh out loud at Shakespeare's jokes, I hope you won't be insulted if I say you're trying too hard. Even sketches from the original Saturday Night Live seem slow-witted and obvious now. It's just that our advances are irrepressible. Nowadays, little kids can't even set up lemonade stands. It makes people too self-conscious about the past, though try explaining that to a kid. I'm not saying it should be this way. All this new technology will eventually give us new feelings that will never completely displace the old ones, leaving everyone feeling quite nervous and split in two. We will travel to Mars, even as folks on Earth are still ripping open potato chip bags with their teeth. Why? I don't have the time or intelligence to make all the connections, like my friend Gordon. This is a true story, who, having grown up in Braintree, Massachusetts, had never pictured a brain snagged in a tree until I brought it up. He'd never broken the name down to its parts. By then, it was too late. He had moved to Coral Gables. The hill out my window is still looking beautiful, suffused in a kind of golden national park light, and it seems to say, I'm sorry the world could not possibly use another poem about Orpheus, but I'm available if you're not working on a self-portrait or anything. I'm watching my dogs have nightmares, twitching and whining on the office floor, and I try to imagine what beast has cornered him in the meadow where his dreams are set. I'm just letting the day be what it is, a place for large numbers of things, to gather and interact. Not even a place, but an occasion, a reality for things. I'm just letting the day be what it is, a place for a large number of things, to gather and interact. Not even a place, but an occasion, a reality for real things. Friends warned me not to get too psychedelic or religious with this piece. They won't accept it if it's too psychedelic or religious. But these are valid topics, and I'm the one with the dog twitching on the floor, possibly dreaming of me. That part of me would beat a dog for no good reason. No reason that a dog could see. I'm trying to get at something so simple that I have to talk plainly so the words don't disfigure it. And if it turns out that what I say is untrue, then at least let it be harmless, like a leaky boat in the reeds that is bothering no one. I can't trust the accuracy of my own memories, many of them having blended with sentimental telephone and margarine commercials, plainly ruined by Madison Avenue, though no one seems to call the advertising world Madison Avenue anymore. Have they moved? I need an update on this. But first, I have some business to take care of. I walked out to the hill behind our house, which looks positively Alaskan today, and it would be easier to explain this if I had a picture to show you. But I was with our young dog, and he was running through the tall grass, like running through the tall grass is all of life together, until a bird calls or he finds a beer can, and that thing fills all the space in his head. You see, his mind can only hold one thought at a time, and when he finally hears me call his name, he looks up and cocks his head. For a single moment, my voice is everything. Self-portrait at 28. The Berman Project is a production of Douvra Podcasts and Such. You can find out more about the show at www.thebermanproject.xyz. That's right, I'm fucking Canadian. I'm also social. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, and all the rest at Berman Project. Douvra Podcasts and Such.